those are all the less devoted people. And somehow they proved that we were worse because in the end we left.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Fuck all of them. You're supposed to be in white and all this white stuff, and then they put a fucking green apron on you. What
Get
the
that green
fuck?
on my face. Yeah.
No kidding.
Like wanting you to fail after you leave the church so that they can prove in their heads that the church is true. Of like, see, she lost the spirit, and then her life, like just fell apart. And
I totally agree with you there and it's evil because the proof. See, when you leave the church, you struggle, and it's proof to them that they're fucking right again. It's just more proof that they're fucking right again.
This is the me problem. I'm just like not spiritual enough. I'm not faithful enough. Like I need to have a better attitude. But I do know that a lot of people struggle with that. Like I had a friend that confessed to her parents after going through, and her mom was like, she's possessed by demons, and like...
Welcome, everybody. This is the Jaden Jeffs Podcast. Today, I'm joined by Madison Sparkles. I found Madison via Substack. She has a Substack called Confessions of a 30-Year-Old Virgin, and she's an ex-Mormon. Madison, if you want to introduce yourself and tell everybody anything you want them to know about you.
Yeah, I am, like Jaden said, Madison Sparkles is what I go by online. And I left the church a few years ago, and I have a lot of feelings about purity culture and just a lot of different ways that the church has affected me and others, and just different harmful things that I've seen. And anyways, I feel like I have like a million thoughts, but that's kind of the gist of what this is.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me here today. I thought your article was interesting about purity culture, and I figured we could just start with talking a little bit about your growing up life and kind of tell us where you grew up and how comfortable you were in the church.
Okay. So I was born in Utah. Both my parents grew up in Utah, so I had a lot of roots in Utah. And then when I was 6 years old, I moved to Iowa. So like basically all of my growing up memories and formative years and everything were in the Midwest. And so being in Iowa, like being a member of the church was very rare. And so I feel like just having that environment, like automatically kind of put me into a role where it was like, I was the example, like I was the Mormon that people knew, and I was like a lot of missionary opportunities and just like questions all the time and stuff. And so, I know that like affects different people in different ways, but for me, I feel like I thrived off of that. Like, and I loved it. Like I loved the church. I was always super committed. Like, I feel like, ever since I was little, I just always like had an innate desire to be good. And like the church was kind of the formula that I was given on like, this is what good means. And this is how to be good and stuff. And so I just always wanted to follow that. And so So
you were just a really strong Mormon. You were really into it. And over in Iowa, everybody's a Christian or an atheist or agnostic or something. And so they're kind of you're kind of like the Mormon girl over there.
Correct.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I loved it. Like I liked being different. And the city that I grew up in, like leaned more liberal. It's like a university town. And I liked like, I don't know. I just loved environments where it was like, I could like tell people about the church, and I could just, I don't know. I liked being different. I was like embarrassingly Mormon and like embarrassingly like Molly Mormon. And like, I just embraced all of it.
Yeah. So what does it mean to be embarrassingly Mormon? Does that mean you're just like telling people about the Book of Mormon in school? or how exactly does that look?
No, that's a good question. So I was really shy. So it wasn't like, so in terms of like wanting to like go out of like my way to like tell people, I wasn't like that at all. But just in terms of like my obedience and everything, I don't know. I just took everything very seriously. Like I took it very literally that like we're supposed to follow the prophet and the prophets speak for God. And that like I had a strong testimony that like God loves us. And so even though these rules might like look weird or different or be difficult, like that's what's required. And like, that's what, I don't know. And so I just internalized all of that, like to a fault almost.
Hey, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, could Mormons drink coffee? I've been trying to get to the bottom of this caffeine thing because when I was working with a couple Mormon fellows, they would always drink a couple Monsters. And I was giving them a hard time because they won't drink a cup of coffee, but their Monster has 3 times the caffeine. So is it coffee or is it caffeine?
So, no, that's a good question. And it doesn't really make sense. And I feel like it's like never totally made sense. Like, so when I grew up, I mean, coffee's like always been like on the table, you know, like coffee and tea. I was taught that like herbal tea was okay, but like anything else wasn't. And then like, I felt like at like church activities and stuff, they would never have caffeinated like soda or anything. But I felt like it kind of depended on the family. I personally, like, I don't really like any carbonated drinks. And so I don't know. I don't really like, I never really liked anything that had caffeine in it. And so I was more just like, give me your apple juice or chocolate milk, you know? So I never really like had any of that. But I remember one time, this is like as an adult, but I had like an interview from a bishop. I was probably like in my late 20s, and he had like, I think he just finished like tithing settlement or something. He had just done like a bunch of appointments, and he had like 5 or 6 Monsters like just on like on his desk or whatever, and it just like felt so off because it was just like, and I don't care if people drink that or not, but like coffee versus that, it's like which one's more healthy, you know? Like I don't know, and I don't care what people drink or not, but I don't know. It does.
Yeah, that's sense. Testimony building right there.
Yeah.
Having the bishop with 4 Monsters, I would definitely bug the bishop about that. Did you just sit there and not say anything? See, I would have been like, look, man, you could be drinking coffee.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. So when you're growing up, what point in life do you start realizing that you're different than, you're Mormon. I don't know if being Mormon is being totally different than the rest of the world, because everybody's kind of weird no matter where you go. At least that's what I think. But what point did you start being like, well, maybe I shouldn't be a Mormon? I mean, if you were getting interviewed by the bishop in your late 20s, that sounds like you were still being a Mormon in your late 20s.
Yeah, I was a Mormon I was super, super Mormon. And I didn't question it until way later. But the point that I think I started realizing I was like a little bit different was when we moved to Iowa, because when we lived in West Jordan, Utah before then. And I remember like growing up being kind of confused at like what the difference was between like what's church and what's not church, you know? And I think that can be common sometimes when you are in that area, when it's just like all my neighbors and friends like are in my ward and everything's just like mixed together. And I remember like being in preschool or something and asking my mom, like, and this is kind of like a random thing, but like, I remember there were a lot of like ladies that would go and like walk around in the neighborhood. And I remember asking her, like, are those assigned like kind of like visiting teachers and like other church things? And she was like, no, they're just like walking, like they're just walking with friends. But like it was hard for me to decide like what things like the church says to do and what things just people just do. But yeah, like when we moved to Iowa, like a lot of people in the area, like there's a lot of churches there. Like, I don't know, there's a good amount of diversity. So like, it's not weird to like not go to church, but it's not weird to go to church. Like there's a lot of mix and stuff. So I had a lot of friends that went to other churches. But I knew that like I was one of the only kids in like my elementary school that like went to our church and stuff. And so I think more when like, yeah, just like early elementary school, when different things started coming up of like, I had different rules than other people did, you know, and like, and just like kind of like the coffee thing, or just like modesty, or just kind of things that affected like your daily life. Like, I don't know. I think those things started to kind of click of like, yeah, I'm not quite like everybody else.
Can Mormon women do they have to have their shoulders covered? Like when I'm in a bar or out dancing over here in Utah and I see a young woman or someone with their shoulders not covered, like they just have straps or something.
Yeah.
Can I guarantee that's not a Mormon? Or
yeah, I feel like recently it's just been like the last few years. I mean, obviously people have always kind of, I don't know, not that like everybody's always followed the rules exactly, but like just in the last few years, I feel like that has changed. It's like done like a 180. But the Mormonism that I knew, that was very much not okay. And it was definitely a sign of like, either you're not a Mormon or you're not like as dedicated, you know?
yeah, well, I was at the bar the other day and or it's the dance hall, and these two girls came in. I see them all the time. They have these sleeves that come down there. I wouldn't say it's like a t-shirt. It's more like 1 inch past. It's super common. I see them all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's a fucking Mormon.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
And I feel like that was like what it was like until just a few years ago. It was like, you could definitely tell like, those are the Mormons and those are like, I don't know. It was just like, yeah, there's a lot more of a line than there is now.
Well, I got to ask you about your bishop interviews. Were these just like bishops asking you if you were worthy? And when did they start in your life? Like when you were 15, or were you older than that? When do you start getting questioned by the bishop? And like, what is he asking you? Is he just asking you like, are you being faithful? Are you paying your tithing? Like,
I think like before you get baptized at 8 years old, you like meet with them, but it's not until I was 12 years old that it happened like regularly. And I think it was every year. And the main thing was like renewing your temple recommends, like, so just making sure that you're worthy. So like, there were basic questions, just like, do you believe in God? Do you believe in your like Heavenly Father? Do you believe in Jesus as your savior? Holy Ghost? Do you follow the prophet? Do you sustain the prophet? So just kind of like basic things, and then worthiness stuff, like, and like obedience type things of like, do you pay a full tithing? Like, are you honest? Do you keep the law of chastity? Like, do you feel like you're worthy to go to the temple? Stuff like that. So I would do those every year, but then I feel like there'd sometimes be like additional ones. Like, there were a few times that I had like bishops say that they had like inspiration or counsel that they like needed to talk to me about, or there's also like every like at the end of every year you go in and like talk about like the tithing that you paid and stuff. So there's, I don't know, there's a number of different things, but it was regular.
so when you're 18 and you're like dating and starting to have sexual relations and stuff, well, I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying, like, if you're a 18-year-old girl, in the Mormon church, and you're starting to date and everything, are the bishops asking you questions like, how's your dating life? Like, have you hooked up with somebody? Like, have you shown your boobs to somebody? Like, how how detailed are they
Yeah.
wanting you to be with them?
So thankfully, I mean, and like, thankfully I never had bishops get too detailed with me. I also like was very obedient. So like there were a few times that I did feel guilty for like, oh, maybe like I went too far, but it was like not even anywhere close to like having sex or something. But like, so I've heard a lot of stories about bishops like asking like just like way too many details of like down to like what color were your panties and like just like totally like stuff that they do not need to know, right? But I never had an experience like that. Like I feel like for me it was just more like do you keep the rules like outlined by the prophets and apostles, and like is there anything that you feel like you need to confess? And so like I feel like I was never in a position like that, but I know a lot of people who were. I think this is kind of rare compared to like what a lot of people experience, but I did have one time like in my 20s when I was in a relationship, and there were just like a few times that I told the bishop like, you know, like we like nothing happened, but like I felt guilty that it like went a little bit further than it should, you know. And he actually stopped me. He's like, I don't need to know all the details, which I felt like was kind of opposite a lot of the stories I hear. Like I feel like I've heard even like younger teenage girls that like I know that have been like they were asking me these questions, and I'm like, you do not need to answer those. Like that's not okay for them to ask, you know. But yeah, in general, it was just more like basic for me. But I was taught like growing up, like in primary and young women's. So like as like a teenager and like preteen and stuff, I was taught like any sexual sin, even if like you don't know if it's like sin or not, like you need to tell the bishop, and like any questions that he asks, you need to answer completely. Don't hide anything, like tell all the details, because like you want to make sure that like he knows everything so that you can repent correctly, you know. And like I was so naive that like it was just like, yeah, of course, you know, like I don't know. And like thankfully I never had like a bad experience with the bishop in that setting. But like it scares me looking back now that like I was very vulnerable, and it put me in a bad situation, even though things didn't happen. Just having that mindset of like, yeah, like it's okay for me to be alone in a room with an older man, and they can ask me whatever questions they want, and like I need to give them whatever details they want.
So if you're like an 18-year-old or a 22-year-old or whatever in the Mormon church,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not married, but you're in a relationship, if you're in a relationship, what does that mean? Does that mean you're trying to get married? Does that mean like what does that mean?
So when I was growing up, like I was taught like don't ever go on a date until you're 16, and then but don't ever be like boyfriend girlfriends, like don't be exclusive until you're at least like 18, or like out of high school and can like get married and stuff. So for me, like I did a lot of dating. I was single for a long time. Like I feel like being single for that long, like in the Mormon world, is being like 60 years old, you know, like it's just like really skewed at like how old.
Till what age?
What?
Till what age? Till you're 20, 22 is old, or
yeah,
how old?
I mean, like I felt old in like my early 20s, and then I was still I left the church in my early 30s, but yeah, like even as like a 30-year-old, like 29 to 30-year-olds being single like in the church, like that's like you're like just like 60 years old, like essentially for like Mormon time frame, you know. It's just like, oh, like hopefully I'll get married, you know, like it might be past my time. But yeah, so for me, like being in a relationship, it was like you're exclusive, you are trying to get married. And yeah, so I just, because I was single for so long, I dated a lot, but like, also had a number of like actual relationships.
Sometimes I look back on the FLDS or look at the LDS church, and I kind of like a lot of things, or I miss some things about it. Mm-hmm. And is there something about purity culture that makes people have an appearance of beauty that you don't see other places? Or like, is there something beautiful actually about it, or is it just appearance of beauty? Like, I feel like there's something good about it, but of course not very many people want to talk about it. Right. But I'm just wondering.
No, that's a really good point. I think, yeah, with both purity culture and like the church in general, I think there's definitely a lot of good mixed with like harmful things. But yeah, absolutely. Like, I think with purity culture specifically, I think that like I think that there were some harmful situations that also protected me from, you know, and it like, I feel like it helps me gravitate towards like other friends in high school and stuff, that even though a lot of them like weren't Mormon, I did have friends that were like very devout in their own religions and had like purity rings and different things, like, or promise rings. I can't remember. Anyways, they were like wanting to like save themselves for marriage and stuff. And I feel like it kind of, I don't know, it led me to a group of friends that we kind of had similar standards, even though mine were definitely like more, I don't know, like more strict as a Mormon. But I think it did lead me to friends that otherwise I may not have gravitated towards. And like, they're some of my best friends. And yeah, I think that there's kind of like also an innocence and playfulness that like we had just because we were like, I don't know, we just had a little bit of a different mindset and stuff. But for sure, there's a lot, like it's definitely a mixed bag for all of it.
Is it okay to masturbate when you're a Mormon? Is that fine?
I was taught that it was absolutely not okay. So yeah, like the guidelines that we had were like to not just only like not have sex before marriage, but like don't touch each other, like even over clothes, like don't lay down on top of each other. Don't touch yourself, like don't arouse any feelings within yourself. Yeah, just like nothing.
Yeah. So, as a young Mormon, do you understand pretty well? Do you get a normal sex education and all that stuff? Do all Mormons get a pretty typical sex education? Or
I feel like for at least for like me and the like kind of peers I grew up with and stuff, I feel like it kind of depended on like your family and different things. Like I feel like I knew like all of like the basic stuff, you know, but I did, like, when I went to college, I got my undergrad at BYU Idaho. And so when I went to college, I had a women's health class was like one of the like required classes that I had to take. And my teacher was really, really awesome. And I liked that she was a little bit more open-minded, and she was like, look, I have girls all the time that come to my office and are like, I have no clue about like anything with sex, you know, and like I've asked, some of them even like had asked their parents or like their mom, like, can you tell me more? And like she said that some of the parents had said no, which is crazy to me because I'm like, they're gonna find out at some point. Like, wouldn't you rather be the ones to like tell them? But anyways, and so like I like I feel like I had a lot more knowledge than that, but she was awesome. She did like an optional like honeymoon question and answer thing, because she was like, so many of you guys just have like no clue about like any of this, and I mean, like, I was definitely naive in a lot of ways, but like I don't know, like I felt like I knew a lot more than some of the other people.
You went on a Mormon mission. Can you tell us the story about going on a Mormon mission and kind of how that went down and like how you got called to the mission? I've had the Mormon missionaries come over to my house like 10 times since I moved in here. And so every time I meet them, then I just like to like grill them about some. I just find some kind of pleasure in just like grilling them about some of their doctrines for some reason. But yeah, if you could just, okay. Thank you. That makes me feel better. I do when I'm done. But yeah, they like get under my skin just enough that I just have to do it. And I don't know if it's nice, but
it's fine. Yeah, so I grew up so both my parents served missions. And I have two older brothers, both of them served missions. I'm the youngest, and we also, like, when I was a teenager, we had sister missionaries like living in our basement. And I just had a lot of like exposure to missions and stuff. And at the time, the age for women to serve missions was 21. And I was doing college at that time, and like I'd never been one that was like, oh, I'm for sure gonna go on a mission, like it kind of scared me, honestly, like just all the unknowns of like I can't control where I go or like what I eat, or just I don't know, there were just like a lot of unknowns, and it kind of scared me. But so I was never one that was like, okay, I'm for sure gonna go on a mission, but I wasn't like against it either.
Hey, I gotta ask.
Yeah.
I know you're really tall, like 6'3".
Yeah.
Are you 6'3"?
6'3", yeah.
Okay. And what age did you hit 6'3"? Like, was this before the mission or was this after the mission? Like, when did you get 6'3"?
Good question. So I got my growth spurt a little bit later. Like everybody in my family's tall, and like all my extended family members are tall. And so like, I always knew I'd be taller, but like, I feel like I didn't get like super tall until high school. And in high school, I hit like 6 foot. And then when I was like at BYU, Idaho, I like my friend wanted to like measure me, and she was like, you're 6'1". And then like, I feel like a couple of years later, it was like, oh, like I might actually like 6'2". I don't know. So I feel like I didn't hit like 6'3" until like more like my early 20s. So by the time I did serve my mission, I was probably either 6'3" or like 6'2", 6'2.5".
Almost.
Like, basically there, yeah.
Okay. And I have to ask, in Mormon culture, does the woman have to be like shorter than the dude? Is that a thing?
I think it's like very much socially like a thing. And I think it's not just like Mormon culture. But I think just kind of in general, that's,
oh yeah.
But I think it is extra in Mormon culture. And I didn't I honestly, I didn't realize how much like my height, how do I say this? I didn't realize how much like the Mormon culture and everything played into how I saw myself and like my body with my height. And I think a lot of that was from, just like in my teens and 20s, like I was living in like Idaho, Utah, just like where there's a lot of LDS members. And I think like a lot of that culture is like fitting in, and like it's, you know, and that's, I mean, that stems from the church itself and all the obedience and everything. But like in the culture, there's very much that, like, I feel like it's like everyone jokes about like everyone in Utah has the same hair and the same style, you know? And I think when you're in it, that's difficult to see. But like when you go other places, it's like, yeah, there's definitely like a Utah look. So I knew that, like, I knew all those things in general, but like it wasn't until I like left the church that I was like a little bit more open to like, oh, I'm like, maybe I want to wear like heels sometime, you know? And like, I'd never really, like, I worn them like a few times before that, but like, I don't know. I just like hated being like too tall or standing out like too much, you know? And it's been interesting to me. I feel like it's just been kind of like a happy side effect. Like I didn't expect this, but it's been, for me, like a kind of a happy side effect of like leaving the church, that like, I feel like I've felt more comfortable with like, I don't have to like fit in, and I don't have to fit this like norm, you know? And I do think that like in the Mormon and especially like Utah culture, it's just like, there's a very specific way to look. And I think that like standing out, and especially like with whoever you're dating or like married to or whatever, is just like not really like usually socially acceptable. Sorry, really quick, another thing, like I think that there's also a very like, it's subtle, but it's very real, like pushback on like, as women, we don't have to like, they don't want you to be too like overbearing, you know? And I also felt like people treated me like I was more like, I don't know, like just being so tall, I felt like I was more intimidating to some of the people like in the Utah culture. So anyways, there were a number of ways that it affected things like that.
Well, I'm just thinking about it. If like a 6'3" Mormon missionary, young woman missionary showed up at my door, I don't know, like I would almost have to like that would be a lot of pressure for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm just kidding. So in the world today, like, do you feel that you have to have someone taller than you? If you're dating someone, does someone have to be taller than you? Because you're 6'3", and like even most of the guys I know are only 6 foot or 6'2". So do you feel that even post-Mormon, you need someone taller than you?
I've always been okay with like a little bit shorter, you know, and like even like I did kind of break the norm, like as a member, like I did date like a few people that were like a few inches shorter, and there were definitely some outliers that were like I had a few guys that were like a foot shorter than me, that were like, there was like a significant height difference. So like asked me out, and I'm like, good for you for like, you know, and like, I never like dated them, but, there were definitely some outliers, but I think personally, like I still tend to, yeah, like I don't mind being like a little bit taller, but
yeah. You would prefer someone that was like 6'5".
I mean,
that's fine. I'm not. I was just curious.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, I think just, yeah, as long as it's like within a few inches.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. So being tall, it's not like there's no spoken rule. It's just in Mormonism, if you're a woman, you're supposed to be a little more submissive, and being tall isn't necessarily a good strategy to being submissive. That's kind of what you're saying.
Exactly. And I think like I didn't realize, like, a lot of this was just kind of subconscious, and I didn't realize a lot of things, and it definitely like just bleeds into just culture in general, not just like, or just society in general, but like I think it's more so in the church, but yeah, I think like it's already one thing to be like way taller than everybody, but then like adding heels, I feel like people look at you like in the church of like, oh, she's that girl, she's probably like a feminist, and she's, you know, and like I had a master's degree, and I felt like people kind of already treated me like that of just like, I don't know. So yeah, it wasn't until like after leaving the church that I was like, yeah, like I don't know. It was just weird. It was like this, like, just like, I don't know, just like something like lifted off of me of like, oh, I don't care about that as much, you know, and I still have to be in the right mood to wear heels out like in public because everybody comments like they just do, and that's fine. But like, so I still have to be in the
it's
right
like,
mood and
fuck,
stuff. But,
you're taller than ever. Oh
yeah.
my God.
And like everyone's like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, she's so tall. I'm like, I can hear you, but yeah. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah, if I was like a Mormon bishop and I held the priesthood and I was like 45 or something, and you know, there's a subconsciousness to authority, and you know, this 6'3" woman comes in heels for an interview, and she has a college degree and stuff, then I'm gonna be like, yeah, we got to make sure that she stays in order.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, no, absolutely.
like that's the subconscious authority,
totally.
You know, to being tall.
Totally, yeah. And I didn't realize how much that like affected me until I wasn't like in that anymore.
Okay, well, I sidetracked you.
No, you're good. You're good.
Story about the going on the mission. So yeah, if you could keep telling us that story.
Yeah, no, for sure. So when I turned 21, I like prayed about it, like, should I go, you know, and I wasn't like, oh, I really want to go, but it was more of an attitude of like, I'll go if you tell me to go, but like, I'm good if I don't, you know? And I didn't feel good about going. And so I stayed and I finished my bachelor's degree, and then after I finished my bachelor's degree, I was kind of figuring out like, okay, like, what do I want to do? Do I want to go work and stuff? And at that point, like, I did feel like, okay, like God wants me to go on like a mission now, you know? And I was so scared. Like I just like, I loved being a member, and I loved like sharing about the gospel with people, but like in my own ways that like, I wasn't ever one that was like, okay, I want to go give you like a Book of Mormon and like just like a random stranger. Like I did that sometimes like to my friends, but like, I don't know. I was so scared of like going out to random people, and I was scared of like where I was going to get called and if it was going to be safe and if I was going to have electricity and just all the things. But I felt good about going. And so I went, so I put in my papers. And so at the time, yeah, like you have to meet with your like bishop and stake president and just fill out this information about yourself and make sure you're worthy and everything. And so I did that. And honestly, like I had a minor in French, and I was like, please, like, let me go to France, you know, like or somewhere in Europe or, you know, something like that. And I kind of thought through like all the possibilities, but when I opened, well, I thought I had thought through all the possibilities, but when I opened my mission call, I got called to Daejeon, Korea, and like Asia was totally like out of the question for me. Cause I'm like, there's nothing about me that like screams Asian, you know, like I wasn't like, I knew like my brother had gone to Japan, and I knew other people that like went to Asia and they were like into like anime or different things. And I was like, I don't know anything about Asia. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. And I was terrified of, I was just terrified of everything. And I hate seafood, and just, I was like, I'm going to be like 1,000,000 feet tall there. Right. Like I'm going to like, like I'm actually going to scare people.
Yeah. I feel like nobody could convert Asians like a 6'3", you know, Mormon girl that hates seafood. Yeah. That sounds like I would have sent you to Asia too.
I know.
Yeah.
It was funny. Like everybody that knew me was like shocked. Like it was like nobody like pictured me, and like, I don't know. It just kind of shocked everybody. And I was like really, really scared for a while. I'm just like praying like for confirmation of like, is this where I'm supposed to go? You know? And like, And I did end up feeling like peaceful about it and stuff. And like, okay, like it's going to be okay. And like, I'm doing God's work and I'm on, like, God's on my side and it's going to be fine. And anyway, so yeah, because I was learning Korean, like they have you stay at like the Missionary Training Center, like MTC, for different amounts of time, depending on like where you're going or what language you're learning.
What's MTC?
So
Missionary
like
Training.
the Mission Training Center.
Oh, okay.
So the main one is in Provo, Utah, but they also have other ones in other places in the world, but that's like the main hub. So yeah, so I think at least at the time, for people going just like English speaking, going to like the United States, it was just like 3 weeks. And I think like Spanish speakers were there for like 6 weeks. And I was part of the group that we were there for like the longest. So it was closer to 12 weeks. And I was nervous about being there that long. So I'm like, oh, you're just like, it's just like this teeny little campus. And like for most of the day, you're in these just rooms with like 10 people just studying the language. And I don't know, I was just like you're just gonna feel so scared.
Yeah, that's almost enough time to get engaged.
I know, it's more than enough time. Like I knew so many people, this is a side note, but I knew so many people at BYU Idaho. Like the nickname for it is like BYU I do, because it was like people, I don't know, people think of like Provo as being like, wow, people get engaged so fast, but like Rexburg, like where BYU Idaho is, was like, so I don't know, like I knew people that got engaged after like a couple days. And
okay.
Like it's just,
yeah, I guess I lived there for a little while.
Oh, did you?
And yeah, and I the dating scene there is odd, I have to say. But I definitely dated a few Mormon girls up there, and I would agree that whole BYU Idaho, it's just a thing of itself. Like nobody can actually get that place figured out. I'm not even gonna try anymore. I decided, like, I didn't like living there. I lived there long enough, and yeah, nobody. So you went to BYUI?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's so funny. I feel like people either love it or hate it there, and I really did love it. Like most of my memories at BYU Idaho are like really good. I think now, my cat,
yeah,
like trying to get him some. Yeah, I think now, like if I were to go back after leaving the church, I'd be like, oh my gosh, this place like drives me crazy, but yeah, I loved it, but it's definitely like it's just its own place.
Well, if you're a Mormon, like it's not bad.
Yeah.
There's some weird things that go on, but
For sure.
one thing I noticed about a lot of the young people there is they just seemed a little bit lonely. And I would go on a date with somebody there, and they would be like, "Oh, I just need a hug," and I would give them a hug, and then they would be like, "Yeah, I'm not that serious. Like, I gotta marry a Mormon." I'd be like, "Yeah, you should go marry a Mormon." I'm definitely not a Mormon, so anyway.
Like, thanks for the hug, Bo.
Yeah, thanks for the hug.
That's so crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were in Provo, and you go through this 12-week training.
Yes. So, yeah, so I was there for a long time. I had 2 companions. There were 3 of us girls, and then like 6 elders, I think, that were like in the same level class, like district. But anyway, so I ended up like loving it there, surprisingly. And like my companions and I, like we got along like so well. We became like really good friends. Like immediately I became really close to everybody there. And while I was there, actually, during conference, like after we'd been there like a few weeks, general conference was, like they like broadcasted it, like during the weekend. And, that's when President Monson gave the announcement for like the age change for missionaries. And so they said that like, you don't have to be 21 anymore for sisters. Like now you can go at 19. And so like everybody at the MTC was freaking out, just like, oh my gosh, like this is the Lord's work, like the church is true, and like the work is hastening, and like Christ is coming, you know, there, I don't know. So I feel like there was like this extra like energy and excitement. And there were like, we'd hear stories from like the outside world of like all these like 19-year-olds that were like lining up to, you know, go get all that, like just do all the things to get their paperwork done. And we're like, oh my gosh, like, this
yeah,
is
I mean,
amazing.
The way you're saying that, like, almost makes me feel like the work is hastening.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God.
I know.
I almost felt my testimony bit right now. This is crazy.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, it was like, I felt like we were all, I remember going to like the cafeteria after like that announcement. Everyone was just like freaking out, and we're like, this is better than Christmas. And like, everyone was just like so excited. And so I feel like that, I don't know, just like that time frame of being there was just like this extra, like just excitement in general about being missionaries. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, like everyone was telling us like, you were called right now because like the Lord knew that they were going to be like sending all these other missionaries, and like, you're so righteous that like you're supposed to train them, and like every, you know, I don't know. And I really appreciate how you're saying this, because I don't think people realize, like, one of the things you were saying, how you bonded really well with your colleagues there. And it's like, yeah, you really bond because you're a part of a mission. The church is like a mission. It's a calling. It's something to do. It makes you feel better about life. Yeah.
There's a serious energy. And if you believe in it, really, and the prophet changes something like that, it's like the work's going forward. This is serious business. 9%. Things are happening.
Yeah.
Like, it's intense. Yeah. Like, hell yeah. Like, let's go. Everybody's reading their fucking Book of Mormon. Right. A lot more. It's like, let's go.
Totally. Yeah. You get it. Yeah. Like it. I think in the church they're really good at like making you feel like special, and making like finding ways just for, and like, yeah, just finding ways for you to feel like you are at the right place at the right time, you know. And like, everyone for the last like 100 years have been told like they're the chosen generation, and like, I don't know, like, and so I think that like, they're just, I don't know, there's a lot of bonding and a lot of like excitement. And then I feel like whatever happens, it always comes back to like, it proves the church is true. Like, if it's something good, it's like, oh my gosh, like the Lord's leading the church, it proves the church is true. And if something bad happens, it's like, see, that proves the church is true, because that's Satan fighting against the church. And it's like, I don't know, everything comes back to the church being true.
Yeah, I know. It's like, if your good friend that left the church jumps off a cliff, it's like, that's proof the church is true. And if they struggle and then come back, it's also like, that's also proof the church is true.
It's like, for real. I feel like I can play like this game in my head of like give me anything, like I'll find a way to like prove, make the church true from it, because like, that's just like, I don't know, it's just like what we grew up doing, of like, that's just what everything comes back to.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens after MTC?
So yeah, MTC is going great. So I entered in September. The age change announcement was like the first week in October during general conference. And then our flight to Korea was December 3rd. I remember dates like weirdly, I don't know. But anyways, December 3rd was like the day that we were supposed to fly to Korea. And the end of November, I like randomly got really, really sick, and my body just kind of like shut down. And I was just like sleeping all day. They thought it was mono at first, and everyone was like teasing me, like, sister, like, who have you been kissing? You know, like, but yeah, like my body just like shut down, and so there's like a sick bay, it was called at the time, at least, at the MTC, where they have a couple like in-house doctors, and so we went there, and at first like, they weren't really like taking me too seriously. I think they were just like, oh, like, you're just homesick, or you like, this is your first time away from home. And I was like, no, I lived away from home for like 4 years, and like I am homesick, but like there's more to it than that. And thankfully I was good enough friends with my companions, and like we'd been like, thankfully it was like we'd already been like in the MTC for like 2 months, so they knew how I usually like what my energy usually was and like what my personality usually was, and so they were vouching for me. They were like, this is not like something's wrong. And so anyways, they had like these little like cots that you could go like sleep in like during the day if you weren't feeling good and stuff, because your companions are still supposed to like go to class and whatever. And so I ended up just like going there like every day, because as a missionary you can't be by yourself, and so like I couldn't just like stay in the room sick. Like, you're always supposed to be with your companion, but since my companions were like in class, I had to be like in this sick area.
Is that because of like risk of masturbation, or why?
Probably. The risk of anything. But yeah, like, you're supposed to be within like sight and sound of your companions, like, unless you're like showering or going to the bathroom, but like otherwise you're supposed to be like where you can see and hear them. And they actually, we joked about it, because I ended up being sick for like 2 weeks there. And so like, yeah, in the morning they'd like walk me over to like the sick bay, and they'd be like, oh, we're like just taking you to your daycare, and then they'd like get like a little walkie-talkie that like the doctors would, like, if something happened, they'd like reach them there or whatever. And so we just joked that was like my daycare. And anyways, the doctors were just like, yeah, like it's fine, like you'll like, it's just some bug like that just kind of like wiped you out and you'll be fine. And then yeah, it just like wasn't getting better, and I'd never been like sick for that long before, so it just felt weird. Like, normally I felt like it's just like a few days that you're sick and then you're fine. And anyway, so a few days before our flight to Korea, I was like talking to the doctor, and just because like I wasn't improving or anything, he's like, I think that you'll do better at home. And he was like, but it's fine, like it'll probably just be like a few weeks, you'll just sleep and rest there, and then we'll get you to Korea and it'll all be fine, and up until then, like, I was worried about getting better in time, because I was like, oh, like, can't, like, the state I was in, I was like, I don't even have enough energy to like go and like sit my butt on an airplane, like I was just like so wiped out, and so I was just worried about getting better in time for that. And it was never a question of like actually going home, but then it was just like yeah, like nothing's changing, like we think you'll do better at home, and then we'll get you like to Korea in a couple weeks or whatever. And so yeah, just like it was just crazy like how fast things changed, because like that was like one afternoon, and then like the next morning at like 6 o'clock I had like a flight home, and so there wasn't like a whole lot of time to like process or anything. And there's a lot of stigma of surrounding like going home early from your mission. Just that, like, I don't know, there's just like there's a lot of like different sayings, or like there were movies and different things that were like don't ever come home early, like don't like the I don't know, that was basically like the worst thing that you could do, and even though I was sick and I had like an honorable release, it was socially like very not okay.
Yeah, I feel like it's something like, it's like if you're a baby calf and you're trying to drink milk before you get born, or something like that. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Like God would help you through if you were more faithful.
Exactly. Yeah.
And stuff.
Exactly. And there's a lot of that mentality of like, well, like you should have just like prayed harder, or like I got like a priesthood blessing, and I was like, oh, like maybe I just didn't have enough faith, because that was like, it said like God will help heal you. So I did like the mental gymnastics of like at first it was like, oh shoot, like, well, I'm not getting healed, like maybe I don't have enough faith. But then I was like, oh, like he will still heal me, but maybe it's just like in a different way, at a different time than I thought, and just, like all the things. But
yeah, that's crazy. I feel a little bit judgmental even right now. Like if you would have been more devoted to your mission, then
I know
you could have made it through.
I know.
Everything in your life after that would have gone better.
It's true.
You would still be a part of the church. Yes.
My life just went downhill ever since. Like, look at me now. Yeah. It was like, and honestly, like, because I had been such a Molly Mormon, like in so many ways, like I, like, other than getting married, like really early, like I fit like the stereotype of all the things and was super obedient. And this was like the first thing in my life that that didn't really like fit that. And that was like just not acceptable, and that was like really difficult for me to do. Like I emotionally and like spiritually, like it felt like I had sinned, like, even though like I knew like logically I hadn't, but like that's how it felt. But like I didn't know what to do with that, because I was like I can't really repent because like I didn't like do anything. But also like I felt like because our call is, we're told like from God, and just like, I don't know, just everything that we're taught about, like this is, like God prepared this for you. And I've had all these, like, before I left on my mission and then at the MTC, like I'd had all these blessings about like people I needed to help in Korea and different things. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm like letting everybody down. And I don't know, I just felt like I had just like sinned and like fallen from God, even though like, which is crazy to me, like looking back, especially now, because I'm like the pressure that like is on like young adults for all that is just crazy. But yeah, the stigma is just like out of this world. And at the time I didn't really know anybody else that had like come home early from my mission. But then like the years after that, I talked to a number of people, and I felt like the story was just like the same across the board. It was just like this like hell that like you go through that people don't really like realize. And yeah, so I and thankfully this is one thing that I do appreciate. My companions and like my like the group of missionaries that I was with, like that was like we were all learning Korean and everything. Like they were amazing. Like they were so kind and so supportive. And I know that like not everybody had that, with like the missionaries they were around when they left. And I just got really lucky with like really awesome people there that that were like not judgmental, but yeah, so I came home and just like went through all these different emotions and ended up being sick for like 6 months, that I was just like in bed, and the doctors were doing like different tests and stuff. And finally they were just like, we can't really figure out what's going on. We think it might just be like some freak virus. Like we're just gonna like narrow things down and just make sure it's not anything more severe. And then beyond that, like we're just gonna have you like wait it out, because that's basically all you can do, And so yeah, it was just like this weird combination of like my whole life just changing plans really, really fast, plus like physically dealing with like your body like shutting down, plus like all the spiritual and like social components of everything. And anyway, yeah, it was a lot.
So did they ever figure out what it was, or did you just end up getting better? Or?
They never pinpointed what it was. Yeah, they did like more and more tests to make sure it wasn't like anything like, yeah, just like more serious. But they just said they thought it was like a freak virus. And then when I felt so lame, because like when I told people my story, like after about like getting sick, they were like, oh my God, were you like in Africa or something? I'm like, no, I was in Provo. Like I wasn't even like anywhere cool, you know? And, but the doctor did say, cause they do have people from like all over the world that come to like the Provo MTC. And so they were like, it would have been really easy to pick up something there. But it was just like a freak thing. Yeah, just really, really odd. But it was also like this, just because of the timing of it and like not making it to Korea, like getting sick while I was still in Provo. It was also like socially like awkward because like talking to other members and stuff, it's very common to be like, oh, like, did you serve a mission or whatever? And then if you say yes, like the next question is like, where? And so for me, like it was hard to answer that question without going into the whole story, because I'm like, oh, well, like Korea, but like I've never actually been to Korea, but like I didn't want to say like Provo. I don't know. It was just like there was no short answer. And so it was just like this like socially really awkward thing to navigate, but also had like a lot of judgment surrounding it. And so it was just hard to like, I don't know. It was just weird.
Yeah. It's kind of like somebody asking, hey, have you ever had sex? And you're like, you know what? I got to tell you about this time I masturbated. That's kind of how it was, totally, you know, because like, it's like, did you go on a mission? And it's like, I was called to Korea.
Right.
You won't believe this. I was called to Korea and then I didn't fucking go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So when you get better, you're just like, okay, life's gone on too far. Fuck the mission. This is God's call to me to not go on a fucking mission. If I was a Christian or some other person, I would be telling you right now, like, God saved you in some way. I don't know how, but I don't know what your beliefs are. I don't want to offend anybody.
No, you're good. Yeah, you're totally fine.
Okay. Yeah. You know, because if I was a Christian, I'd be like, well, God was saving you from being a Mormon for your entire existence. But,
right.
Anyway, so do you kind of just...
true, because Satan didn't want me to go. What?
Oh, Satan didn't want you to go, and that's why you got sick.
You can spin it like any way, even though it's like the same.
Yeah, I know. True. Yeah, like Satan knew you were going to convert all of Korea.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Exactly.
Okay.
No, so I did want to go back and like finish my mission, or like start it, whatever way you want to like look at it, you know, do the rest of it. And I was so heartbroken to be home. Like I would just like fall asleep, like crying every night. I was sleeping like during the day too. So I was just like always in bed, but like, I was just like so heartbroken to like not be there, and was just like praying all the time. Like, please help me to get better. Like this is where I'm supposed to be. And like, I know that's where I was supposed to be. And like, why would you do this? You know? And like if there was any time to like heal me or to answer someone's prayers, like now's a good time, you know, like I'm praying to like go do your work. And it was just like nothing was getting better for like months. And
yeah, if there was ever a good time for God to heal somebody, like where the fuck are you, dude?
I was just like, yeah, there was definitely like a lot of dissonance, like cognitive dissonance in my head of just like, and like my blessings and stuff. I was like, what, what the hell? Like what is this, you know? And
yeah, it's like I'm 6'3" and you're pushing back my mission by a couple months, and that takes my chance of getting a husband way down. And this is getting really socially awkward.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, where the fuck is God in all of this?
I know. I was worried though, like because I was sick for so long, I was like, man, like now I'm only going to overlap with my companions for like a little bit. And I was like, now we have all like the 19-year-olds. So now me, and because I finished school first, I was 22. So like, I'm going to be like the grandma of the mission, right? Like,
yeah. And, this 22 with all these 19-year-olds.
Yeah.
Get the fuck home.
I know. I was just like, oh, like this is awful. But yeah, I ended up feeling like no, like God needs you to be home. Like this is like you have like a different mission, and and I just felt like, okay, like that was what it needed to be. I don't know why, but like that was that. And there's things I need to learn here, and I need to stay home. And yeah, like, and I ended up, the next few years, because at the time there wasn't really like, there weren't really like resources for people who came home early from their mission. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like there's like this huge traumatizing thing that people are going through that like there's no support for. And like people just, I don't know, like I did have a lot, like, because I was in Iowa, I think socially, like it wasn't as bad if I were like in Utah, coming home early, like if that's where I was living. And so I feel like I didn't have, like, it wasn't, my story wasn't quite as bad, like socially, as some people I know. But like there were still like a lot of rumors and stuff that got back to me and whatever. But yeah, like the next few years, I tried to like talk to a number of people about like, what was it like for you and whatever. And I felt like, just across the board, it was like the same story. And I was like really passionate about like, we gotta do something to like kind of to change this and whatever. But like, it's, I don't know. It's just like this really unique, rough, like thing that I hope has gotten a little bit better, but yeah.
I can't help but just like explain to people like I did before. It's like you're in a group of people, maybe you're in a group of young college kids, and everybody's telling each other about the first time they had sex or whatever, and you only have a story about masturbation. You can't go back and change it, you know, because that's kind of how missions are. That's kind of how it is, and they're all mocking you, and so you get depressed. Well, it's kind of that way with missions. Like, you didn't say, oh, you left home early on your mission? Oh my God, come on.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And like, I'd get annoyed sometimes because like as I don't know, just like over the next few years after I was home, like I heard, or like, I don't know, I knew more and more people that had served missions, but were like not obedient, like at all, like on their mission. And like, I'd get so like, I'd have such a hard time because like socially they were like the righteous one because they were there for 24 months, like that, like, and because I came home early, it was like, I'm, you know, like the flaky, not faithful one. And like, I don't know, probably a lot of that was just my pride of like,
I get what you're saying. Like, fuck you. Yeah. You served a mission. You were disobedient the whole time. Yeah. You do whatever you want. You don't read the Book of Mormon that much. You're kind of a rebellious little whatever you are. And here I am. I tried. I got sick. I prayed. God wouldn't heal me. This is the real test. Like, fuck you guys. Yeah. And now people think that I'm not the most faithful one. Yeah. This is ridiculous. I resonate with you. I support you in those feelings like 100%. I'm telling you, I understand those feelings.
Yeah, no, I was definitely like, I feel like even though I still was faithful in the church for like years after that, like I feel like I was never quite the same after my mission. And I hated being around missionaries. Like part of it was because of that, was like, it brought up a lot of those things. It was also just like, I don't know, it just brought up a lot of emotions, and I'm like, you guys are all annoying. But a lot of it was like just maybe like judgmental or like jealous or just trying to like not get into my own trauma. But yeah, there were I don't know. There were a lot of feelings.
Well, maybe they were right. I think they were right because you left.
I know. I like it proves all of that.
Yep. Once you left, you just proved all of them right.
I did. I know. And it's funny how like after you leave, it's like anything you did like beforehand just gets tainted of like, oh, she never had a real testimony, or like she was just fooling all of us, you know? I'm like,
yeah. Like we knew it. See, I know. I hate that. When I was leaving the FLDS, I felt that way. I was like, these guys have been saying things about me my whole life. If I leave, they're going to be like, sure enough. I'm like, fuck, this is an awful situation. Fuck you guys.
It's like, you can't win. You can't win.
I know.
It sucks.
Okay. Well, can you tell me about your temple work? Did you go to the temple a lot? And before your mission, after your mission, like, were you going to the temple and doing like these baptisms for the dead, like as if you know you're ancient, you're baptizing, you're getting baptized for like your great grandma or whatever, like it was serious? Like, were you doing all that stuff? Or
I loved the temple. Like so growing up, I could start doing baptisms for the dead when I was 12. So they have like the kids and teenagers do, you know, and Nauvoo was my temple, like the temple we were assigned to.
Oh.
So there was a lot of church history there, and I just felt like this huge like love for like all of it, and it was a couple hours away, but I'd go to the temple with my family. I would go sometimes like with friends. We had like church activities there a lot, you know, like I spent a fair amount of time in Nauvoo, like growing up and stuff. And so, and I always like, because we had to drive a couple hours there, this is also like my pride, but I did judge like the people that were like in Utah or like closer to a temple, that they were like, oh, like I haven't been in like months or whatever. And I'm like, you have it like right there, you know, like how can you not, like, and it just like, I just couldn't understand that. And yeah, like definitely a lot of judgment and stuff, but like
good. It's like, I know, I feel that way too. When I was in the FLDS, people that had way more opportunity than me to be good were not half as good or taking their opportunities.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Like, come on, guys.
That is not, I know, that is not the devotion that I thought everybody should have.
I know.
I was more devoted and getting less opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how is that fair?
I know. I know.
But being by Nauvoo, like, that's testimony building, right?
Yeah. I loved it. And I felt like I understood church history a lot. Like I felt like when people would say like, oh, like I have all these issues with church history, like what's not to love, you know, like, like you got
come over here and see where our prophet got killed.
Yeah. Like it was just this very like sanitized version that was like looking back now, I'm like, oh my gosh, like everything that I was taught, it was kind of like as accurate. It feels as accurate as like Disney's Pocahontas is to like real life, you know, where it's like based on some stuff, but it's very like very edited and not quite what happened. And yeah, I visited like Kirtland a few times growing up, and Palmyra, and just like I just had like this deep love for like the church and the temple and the like all of it.
After you went on your mission, were you still doing a lot of temple work?
So I was like just in bed for like 6 months, and it wasn't, I feel like it took me like a while, even after I did start kind of getting better, to like feel like I could do that. But yeah, like as an adult, I spent like even more time in the temple. So like when I went to Rexburg, when I was at BYU Idaho, like there was a new temple that had been built there. And I told myself, I'm like, I'm not going to be like like I was so judgmental. Like I was this weird, I don't know. I was like this weird mix of like, I feel like in a lot of ways I had more compassion for people, and like was like less judgmental in a lot of ways. But then I feel like there were other ways that it was just like probably like my pride that I was like, I'm going to be, you know, I don't know. It was like this weird mix, but I was like, I'm going to go every single week. And like, I'm never going to like let myself like take it for granted, you know, like other people do. And I know that that's like one of Satan's temptations, that if you're, you know, like once things get too easy, like you can get casual, and like, I'm not going to like let that happen. And so, yeah, I like at BYU Idaho, I'd go every week and do baptisms for the dead. And like, I loved it. And I always just felt a lot of peace there. And then when I went on my mission, like before you get married or go on a mission, like you go through for your endowments and do like the higher ordinances. And I had like mixed feelings about all of that. Like when I got endowed, I really loved, there's like a few different parts. But like, I really loved like the initiatory, which is like what you do like first, and it's like these kind of like blessings that they like give you. And, like I liked that. And then the endowment kind of freaked me out. But like, I didn't want to like act freaked out, because it's like, this is the most like, important day of my life. And like, Satan's just trying to get in my head and all of that. But anyways, besides the endowment, like I loved like everything else in the temple. And so when I did get better and like moved back to Utah, like later after my mission, I ended up being like a temple worker and did that like several different times, like throughout my 20s. And even then, like they assign you to like different parts of the temple to like help out in. And like, even then I would pray all the time, like, please don't let me like help out with the endowment. And like anywhere else, like I liked the overall like peace and stuff I felt in the temple, but like the endowment, I just felt so much anxiety. And anyways,
why'd you feel anxiety about the endowment? Like, what's the difference?
It was just like a lot, like, I don't know. There were just a lot of different components that are like more symbolic, that were so foreign to me of like anything that like I'd felt before. And like, it's pretty common, like for most people when they go like to get endowed, like I feel like there's just like this mindset of like, don't worry, we're not a cult, like it's going to be okay. It's just symbolic. It's just ancient. Like,
is that the thought you have to keep in your mind? Is this is not a cult? This is not a cult.
I feel like that's very common for people when they get endowed, just because it's so different than like it's so different from anything else we do in the church, but it's also so different from like what you expect and like kind of how they, I don't know. It's just so foreign and like weird.
Well, I think that's good advice for all the Mormons watching. Like that's what you got to keep in mind when you walk in there. This is not a cult. This is not a cult. Heavenly Father, I love you. This is not a cult.
I know. Yeah. Like, I don't know if I had like the word cult in my mind, but I was like, I just remember being so anxious and just being like, I don't like this. I don't like this. But then feeling like, no, that's Satan. And of course, because Satan's trying to do that, and I feel so gross here, it proves the church is true, because Satan knows how, like, Satan's trying to get to me and all of that. And there's different like robes that you put on, and like that felt weird. And like, there's like a green apron, and like whenever they talk to you about like the temple, it's always like, oh, you'll be dressed in white, and even though it's like a simple thing, like just having the green, like, I don't know.
Yeah, what the fuck is that green doing in there? Who the fuck?
Like, what are we
all doing? This? Yeah, you're supposed to be in white and all this white stuff, and then they put a fucking green apron on you. What the fuck? Green on my face. Yeah. No kidding. God.
Yeah.
That's annoying. That's the cultiest green fucking apron I've ever seen.
Like, it's funny. It's like such a small thing, but it's just I don't know. And like, it just, I don't even know how to describe it, but I remember like at the end, so you do the ceremony, and then you go through like a veil, and then you go into like the celestial room at the end, which is this like open, like peaceful room that like everyone just kind of like gathers and like hugs and whatever. And I remember a lot of people coming up to me and saying like, oh, congratulations. And I remember thinking like it felt like such a weird word, and I couldn't pinpoint like why, but I'm like, I just feel like that doesn't match like what just happened. And I just remember like everyone was like, I'm so happy for you. And I felt so guilty, because I was like, I just want to go home and like I just want to leave. Like, I just felt so overwhelmed. And I don't know. It was just like a weird feeling, but I just turned it back on myself of like this is the me problem. I'm just like not spiritual enough. I'm not faithful enough. Like I need to have a better attitude. But I do know that a lot of people struggle with that. Like I had a friend that confessed to her parents after going through, and her mom was like, she's possessed by demons, you know, and like I don't know. There's
God.
Like there's I don't know. It's just like a weird experience.
So you kind of were suspicious after you went through.
So I honestly like not in the sense of like questioning the church or anything. It was more like, okay, I know the church is true. I just don't know how like this fits into stuff. Like, and I just blamed on myself of like, this is a me problem. And like, you know, but I was like, it's okay. I love the baptistry, like where like I spent years doing baptisms for the dead. Like I loved that. I loved other parts. But yeah, I just like, I tried, and like, yeah, even as like a temple worker and even years later, I don't know. The endowment, I just never loved. Like
okay.
It always just it was stressful, and it was, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but it just like, it didn't, like the other parts of the temple, I felt like peace and like whatever. And that one, it just like, I just didn't vibe with it. And it just felt like yucky and off.
Pray harder next time.
I know. Need to fast, pray harder. I know.
Yeah. Okay. So now that your mission is kind of behind you and you're just living in the church, when do you start thinking about leaving? Like, why?
So, I was still in the church for years. After that, like super, super faithful, was in for like another like 10 I don't know, like another decade-ish. And honestly, like it happened really, really fast. And like, I was so I was so dedicated and so faithful that like I had prayed, this sounds like dramatic, but like I had prayed ever since I was a kid. Like I was so scared of ever losing my testimony or like falling away from the church. I'd like every single night I'd pray like, please help me to never like fall away. Please help me to like always stay true to the gospel. And just, I don't know. I was so scared of ever falling away and just like always wanted to be obedient that like, it's crazy how fast I left, and like everyone was shocked. But
I know, just talking to you and listening to you describe these moments of faithfulness and devotion and like spirituality, I personally just have anxiety right now about why you left. No, seriously, like I feel the devotion from you in the church, and I seriously, like, I feel anxiety about why you left. And I know what you're saying. Like, yeah. I don't want to lose my testimony. Please, like, whatever. Like, I was that way. I was like, put me in a car crash before I lose my testimony or shut
Absolutely.
Up, you know?
Yeah. No, like 1,000,000%. Yeah. Like, it was my life. Like, not like there was for sure like the component of like, I want to keep my salvation and like be with my family. Obviously, like that's a big deal. But yeah, it was just like, I loved it. Like, it was my life. Like, I wanted to be good. And again, that was just like the roadmap that I had for that. And like, I like, it was my life. But, yeah, like throughout my 20s, I started struggling a little bit more like with my mental health. It's definitely been like throughout my life, but it was more in my 20s that like it got worse, and I realized it more. And a lot of it was just kind of like anxiety, but then some like depression mixed in. And anyways, down the road from all of that, like I was just like not in a good place mentally, and had been like just really, really struggling and couldn't really figure out like why. And I finally learned about the term like scrupulosity. And when I like looked into it, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is like a lot of what I'm feeling, you know, which it's like a spiritual OCD. And so it's just like this, like, yeah, like need to like perfectionism basically, but just like just really, really like strong and just like, oh, sorry, there's thunder.
So whatever you said, scrupulosity,
yeah.
is that where I just need to pray a lot and I just got to make sure I'm doing things right? Like I'm trying to understand your depression and everything through that time.
Yeah, no, for
like,
sure.
What does it mean?
So I think like, so it was kind of like a mixture of things. Like, I think there was just for sure just some like mental health stuff that I would have had in any situation, even if I was like outside of the church. I think just biologically and everything, like I would have struggled with that. But I think, I was able to put into words that there was a lot more of like a spiritual component to it, where it was just like this obsessive, like not just like, I want to be good, I want to be righteous or whatever, but like I was able to kind of like look back and see different patterns of it, even like as a teenager, and things like I would just take like anything that I learned about the church, even if it wasn't like something from like general conference or something. It was just like if I heard something in a talk at church, it was like I couldn't I couldn't like prioritize like, okay, like these are the most like important things or whatever. It was just like, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that. And so like, for example, this is like a little thing, but like when I was like growing up, I used to love to read, and like I would just like read a lot in elementary school and stuff. And I think like in junior high at some point I heard somebody, and it was just like a church talk, like it wasn't like like general conference or anything, but like I remember she talked about how like you should love to read, like you should be more excited to read the scriptures than you are to read like your regular books or whatever. And I remember just like taking that to heart, and like anytime I wanted to read after that, I'd feel so guilty, like I need to read the scriptures, like or like I should be like, I shouldn't want to read this, like I should want to read the scriptures more. And like it's sad looking back, but like I just didn't like ever like read as much after that, just because I felt so guilty. But like just anything like that, I would just like internalize. And so I think it was just like growing up and as a teenager and whatever, like it was kind of starting to pile on, but it was like manageable and stuff. And I think like in my 20s, when I was like, I'm trying to do everything like the prophets are saying, I'm trying to do everything that like my local leaders and everything saying. And then like I also struggled with like the idea of like, we were taught that like with the atonement that like I don't know, the like grace, like the Jesus Christ, like grace kicks in like after all you can do. And like just because I don't know, just the way that my brain processed things, I was like, there's always more I could do. Like, and so I was like, I could never, it was like always out of reach. And so like I could just never,
I would
like
pretty well agree with that. Like there's more, even this, like there's more you can do for your salvation.
Yeah. And so it was just like, I don't know, it was just like always out of reach. And I knew that wasn't like, I don't know, I was like, I know that the Savior also like loves me and like wants me to like feel peace and feel love and whatever. But I had like, there was like this disconnect in my head of like, how do I actually like get to that? And there, like, I was also,
you were not one to be like, okay, I think I've done this enough. We're going to ask Jesus to do the rest. You were like, I gotta do more.
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely asking, but I was like, please help, like what I can't do. But I was like, feel like, I don't know. I just felt like I couldn't like totally access that help. And I mean, I did feel like what I interpreted as like God helping me with things and stuff, but I just felt like I was like, I felt like I was like just never good enough, which I know is very common within like that, like within the religion and everything, but I felt like it was just to like an insane degree. And I also struggled with like we were taught like any thought that you have that is like a good thought, or that's like to help somebody or whatever, like comes from God, and like to follow that, because you don't ever know like I don't know, like because that's how God speaks to you. And
yeah, you're getting inspiration.
Yeah. And I didn't know this at the time, but I just like within the last year, I've gotten diagnosed with inattentive ADHD, which is more like the hyperactivity is more like in your head. Like I was never one to be like running around classroom, but like my brain's just constantly like going. And so within like a minute, I would have like, okay, write this person, go do that, go call this person, go do that, you know? And so like I had a hard time because I was like, oh my gosh, like I have this like list of like 1,000 things that like God wants me to do. And if I don't do it, like what if somebody gets hurt? And like, and then that'll be on me because I didn't follow the inspiration. But it was just like, I never, like, obviously like that, like you can't do all of that, you know? And,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
So,
I think I was a lot the same way. Like
yeah.
when I was growing up, whenever I heard a scripture about something, I would meticulously follow it. Like when I heard about Samuel the prophet always praying towards the temple, from the day after I heard that story, I always prayed towards the temple.
Aww.
No matter how far away I was, or little things. But I totally get what you're saying about like you have a good thought and you're like, oh, that's inspiration,
right? And
then you act on it. So like for me, I would do this so bad. Like I see like a shovel laying down, I'd be, oh, I have to pick that up, somebody might get hurt, or I just feel like, oh, that's the right thing to do, or oh, this person needs me to say something nice to him. All these good things that you could do.
Totally.
And it's like no, you're gonna like die trying to do all those things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what it was. And like I know that other people that don't like process things the same way, like can look at that and be like, no, obviously that's just like a you problem or whatever. But it's either way, like that was my reality, you know. And it was just like,
well, those are all the people that had the opportunity to go to the temple and be good and everything, and they don't take it. Like they, seriously, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, totally.
Those are all the less devoted people, and somehow they proved that we were worse because in the end we left.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Fuck all of them. That's how I feel.
I know. It's. Yeah, I feel like
it's so unfair.
I know. Ever since leaving, I've just been like, this has just been like the biggest mind fuck, where it's like, just I don't know, just processing everything with the church itself but then yeah, all the social dynamics and everything, and like, this is maybe like sidetracked a little bit, but like, a few months ago, so my social media account is like, I only started it like half a year ago or something.
Your Instagram account?
Yeah.
Or what?
Like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube are like my main ones. But I like in the winter, I had somebody from like a burner phone start texting me. But it was somebody that like clearly knew me and my family, and they'd come across like my Instagram account like earlier on, and it was somebody that like knew me from church clearly. And they were texting me for like 2 hours about like how awful I was and how I'd like just all the things, like, you know, of just like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe you dress like that, and like all you're doing is just like trying to get men to like just be disloyal to their, or is that the right word? Just like, I don't know, you're trying to be a temptation, and like you're a slut, and like how could you talk about the church like that? And at the time, all I'd done was just say like I'd left. Like I'd done a video saying like I'd left, and they were like, stop lying about the church, and like stop being so deceitful, and all these things, and it's just been like so wild. And like I never found out who it was, but like I just ignored it. But like I don't know, it's just been so wild because I'm like, you guys know me, like. And even if you do think I'm like deceived, or if I'm doing the wrong thing and stuff, like I feel like I proved myself enough of that. I have a little bit of good character, or like a little bit of integrity, or I don't know, that like I wouldn't leave just, for fun, or I don't know, that like, I don't know. It's just been like so wild how once you leave, it's just like you are an automatic enemy, and anything that you did is just like that. It's just everything just gets flipped around. You're like in an upside down world.
Yeah, well, that is why I consider the Mormon Church a cult, because when I was the LDS people say, oh, we're so much different from the FLDS. But when I was in the FLDS, that's how it was. Somebody would get sent away, somebody would be pushed out, or leave or whatever, and it's like they are so evil. Forget everything. Forget how they helped me with breakfast the other day. Forget how they like drove me somewhere. Forget all the good things they did for me. Everything that they did good. Fuck all of it. Like, fuck you. You're evil. You're just pure evil. It's disgusting how evil you are. Like that's, and it's like, yeah. I didn't spend any time like loving you. I spent absolutely zero time doing anything for you. Like you forget all of that. And that's how the Mormons are. And then you leave and they're like, get the hell out of here. And then they sit there when you say, oh, you're a cult. And they're like, what? I can't believe you would say that about us. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah, no, I
me mad.
Totally get it. It's just frustrating. It's like you literally, you can't win. And like one of the things that was really difficult for me, I initially left because of like mental health stuff, but then that kind of opened the door for me to like, I just got to a point that I was like, okay, if there is a problem with like the actual teachings, or like, I don't know, if there's actually a problem with the church, like I need to know, And so I like was finally open to actually like learning a little bit more. And it's just been so frustrating because I was like Joseph Smith and all these other leaders, like, were completely different than what I was taught that they were. But like members are so quick to just like give all the grace to them of like, oh, well, they're just a man. Like you can't expect them to be perfect. And like, we don't know the situation. We don't know the context, like just all these things, and it's like, why can't I have just like 1% of that, like, just like, it's just like, I'm not doing, I don't know, like in the real world, like what I've done, like drink coffee or like wear this or like, I don't know. It's just like, well, I mean, I guess it's changed, so this is fine now. But like, like just that, like actual things that I've done are so mild compared to like what's like the church has done in a lot of settings and like what leaders have done, and like that's just like swept aside so easily. But then it's just like I'm the enemy. It's just weird.
I want to talk a little bit about mental health, because you said you mostly left because of mental health, and I think a lot of people in the church, like I was talking to my sister a while ago who's still in, and she says, oh, mental health. Yeah, a lot of people think they need help or whatever. And, she's kind of mocking it. I think what a lot of people don't understand is the degree that you can come close to death, really. Like, you can come close to death. And a lot of people in the church or in the FLDS, they mock it. They say that you should be more loyal, you should be more stable. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what it is, but if you experience it, if you really experience it, then you understand that no, this comes close to death, or you coming closer to death, or something happening is what pushes you over the edge to understand. Like, and I personally feel like most of the people that are staying in, like, a lot of them have serious mental health problems, but they are unwilling. A lot of them have gotten close to that edge of instability, where they need help.
Right.
And it's too scary. It's too dangerous. They can't touch it. And they rescue themselves by going back to God. They feel that spiritual feeling. They go to the temple more.
Right.
They partake in the sacrament meeting more. They do all these things. They become more devoted. And so I would say that some of the most devoted members are people that have been pushed towards the mental health crisis, but their only rescue is to go back and become more devoted.
Totally.
And so I just wanted to get more of your thoughts on what you mean by like, okay, mental health, like that's what made me leave.
Yeah, no, I agree with like what you're saying. It's definitely a huge problem. And I think that like, it's a lot more people struggle with it than like you would like, than just like from outside, like just like looking in at the culture or whatever. Like there's, I don't know, like you can't always tell, but it's very, very common for, I think, especially like women in the church to like struggle with mental health. And yeah, like in a lot of ways, yeah, like the church was like my comfort, right? Like you turn to like you were saying, like you turn to be like more loyal, and you turn to Jesus Christ, and like you have like your social network there, and you have like, you know, like I was reading scriptures every day. I was listening to a conference talk. Like usually when I got ready in the morning, I'd fall asleep to a conference talk, and like I did that for like years and years and years. Like I was like it was just, I don't know, just like devote more and more, and like in a lot of ways, those things at the time helped, you know, like I did find comfort in them, but like overall, it wasn't like, I don't know, like I didn't realize how much of that was contributing to what was going on as well. It was like this, I don't know, just like really complicated dynamic. But yeah, I got to a point that yeah, like after a long time of like on and off struggling with like anxiety, and then I'd been struggling with like depression for a while, and then when I did realize that like that there was a spiritual component, and like the scrupulosity was part of it, like I remember having this moment that like I was like getting ready in the bathroom, and like I was just like not in a good place, and like I should do like a trigger warning for like suicidal ideations, but like I wasn't suicidal, but I was at a point that I could see myself becoming suicidal if I kept on going, like if, I don't know, if things kept on going the way that they were, and yeah, it wasn't that like my life was bad or anything. Like I had like I love my family. I had a good life, but it was just like the mental health was just really struggling.
I know. I wonder what that is exactly, because I know what you're saying. You come to a realization that if you keep going, like, I don't know what it is, but if you keep going, like it's going to be bad. Mm-hmm. You know that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just coming out of that world is, it's so strange. It's so hard to explain how much of a different world my brain is in now. And just entering into it is almost like passing through death almost. Yeah. I don't know. But if you stay, what are your options? Like, it is a painful process.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And I was just like in such a bad place that like I realized like, okay, that's kind of where I'm at. But like we're taught in the church that like it's better to die faithful than to ever leave it, you know? And like again, I was so faithful. Like I'd been praying for like my whole life, basically, like as long as I could remember, like, please, like never let me fall away. Like don't, you know? But like, and so I had this moment when I realized like how bad my mental health was, and how like if I felt like if I continued going the way I was going, that like it could lead me to becoming suicidal. And I felt like I wasn't, again, I wasn't there yet, but I felt like it wasn't too far. Yeah, like, so I had this moment where I was like, I'm not ever going to leave the church. Like you die faithful, right? Like I was like, I can't ever leave. Like I can't deny what I know to be true. I can't like do that to my family. I just can't do that. Like I had like immediately after I had that thought, another one, like a thought followed that like I felt was like from God, that was just like, that's not what I want for you, you know? And that was like the most foreign thing in my life, because I'm like, God's not supposed to tell me that it's like okay to leave. Like that's opposite of it, like everything that I've ever been like told. But like it was also, I don't know, it was the same, like, yeah, like I don't know, I was like, it's just like, it was so clear, and it was as like, I don't know, like I was like this is God telling me that, you know? And it was just like this weird moment where I was like, how is that even possible? Like if the church is like what it says it is, then like why would God be okay with me leaving it? But then I was like, you know what, like maybe God's just like that compassionate. Like maybe he can, you know, like have like maybe the church can still be true, but like he can guide me to other things. And my degree is in special education, and so I've spent time like teaching, and so I had kind of the mentality of like, okay, well, if I can figure out like kind of differentiated ways to like reach different kids, and like recognize that like they have different needs, and like sometimes they need different environments and different strategies, I was like, God could do the same thing, you know? And so like even though it probably looks bad to everybody, like it was just like the first time that leaving was ever even like an option for me. And it was because I felt like God told me like it was okay. Like, I don't want you to get to that point where like you have to say like, is it going to cost me my life? You know, even though that's what I was told, that like my whole life is that if given the choice, like you give your life to the church. Right. And like,
yeah, like I would say I had a very similar type of awakening too, in the sense that like in the beginning, I decided, okay, well, I had this moment where I was like, oh my God, what if I was to do something different? But then your brain starts reaching for ways that this can be justified. Like, okay, maybe the FLDS isn't true, but something's true here. Or maybe like my particular path, like something different is supposed to happen. So you start using your beliefs to justify your survival, kind of.
Totally. Yeah. No, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Yeah. So that was like what I feel like I was kind of in that phase for like a little while, because it was just so foreign that like I could even think about leaving. Like, I don't know, just like it was just like so weird, but I felt so much peace about it. And so I was like, I can't make that up. Like if this were me, I'm like the most anxious person, like so I have to be obedient. I was like, I cannot like force myself to, like, I don't know, I can't convince myself to like feel peaceful about it. But like I just felt like, no, like God's okay with me doing what I need to do, you know? And so that kind of like put me in like a different like mindset, I guess. And around the same time, like a little bit after, but like around the same time, I also found out about like the second anointing, which is like a secret ordinance that they do. Is that like a thing in the FLDS as well? Or
yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I'm offering it right now if you need it.
Thank you. That's what I was hoping for.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I happened to like, I wasn't like seeking stuff out, but like I happened to hear or can like learn about that. And I was like pissed. I was like, they're just like granting salvation to people. And I'm like, yeah, I know like sometimes in scriptures that happens, but I'm like, that's not to like, I don't know. I was like, I feel like that's so rare. And that's like, I don't know. I just felt like I'm like, they're playing God. And it just felt so reckless to be promising people like, yeah, like you're good. Like anything you do from here on out, like you've already got salvation. You're fine. I'm like that it blew my mind. And I think especially after having been a temple worker in like 3 different temples, I was like, you can't tell me that that's like, I don't know. I was just like that, like they always say for the temple, like it's not secret, it's sacred. I'm like, that's a secret. Like I've worked in temples and like, I didn't know that they were just like granting salvation to people. And like I was so mad and I was still trying to find a way like, okay, maybe it fits in, but it just like, there was no way like I don't know. I just couldn't see a world where God would be okay with that. I just felt so evil and yucky to me. Like I was like, God wouldn't do that. Like I don't know. I couldn't get there in my head. And it just felt so corrupt. Like it felt like the kind of thing that we'd hear about like another church doing in Sunday school and like mock them for like, obviously they're a false church, but like it was our church doing it. So yeah, so I found out about that. And then also, like I had some people close to me that, I was like, I think they might be gay. I don't know, like they haven't come out yet, but like I started questioning just kind of all the LGBTQ stuff within the church and just kind of, I don't know. So like the mental health stuff was like the reason why I stepped away, but then like those like the gay factors and then like the like after finding out about the second anointing, I'm like, okay, like what else don't I know, And so then I was like, I'm just gonna like look into it. And like, I do need to step away from the church right now for my mental health. But like, I think that like, if I'm going to live my life and continue to like, if there's any possibility of me returning to the church, like, and at the time I didn't really know like what my future looked like, but I was like, I need to know like what this is. And like, especially if like, I'm going to eventually like raise a family in it. Like if there's something wrong, like I need to know. And I've also figured like, I wasn't like, I wanted it to be true and I didn't like, I don't know, but like, I figured like, if it's true, it'll all work out, and I wasn't expecting there to like not be problems or to not have like things that like, I didn't expect like everything to be perfect or to like have an answer to everything. But I also felt like if it's true, yeah, like it'll work itself out. And I have enough faith that like I can work with whatever it is. But yeah, that's when I was like more open to like learning it more. And the more I learned, like, especially like after having like grown up feeling like such a tie to church history and everything, like when I was learning more about Joseph Smith and like the actual history with him, it's funny like saying this to you, but like the thought that I had like over and over again was like, this sounds like Warren Jeffs, like not like brother Joseph that I like learned about, I was like, and it like, I don't know. I was like, this is not like what's going on, and like, the more I like learned about it, like, because of like, yeah, the church really tries to distance itself from like the FLDS, like so much. And like, obviously there are like big differences in like lifestyle and everything. And, but like, there's a lot more similar, like it's a lot more similar than I realized. And I was like, they're just doing everything that we were originally taught. And like, we've just like gotten more worldly basically. Like but like, that's like what the church was. And that's like what Joseph, like he was just doing the same thing as Joseph Smith. And it just like, it was just blowing my mind that it was like, this is not like the brother Joseph that they teach about, like, and then Nebuchadnezzar and like all the things. And it like, I don't know, I just felt like really, really like betrayed. And I was like, if he had like, if there were like issues or like whatever, like that's one thing, but like, why are they hiding it? Like, why do we need to lie about it? Why do we need to paint a different picture? Why do we need to, like, that was the part that like bothered me more than like the issues themselves, was just like, why, I don't know, like, why do we need to cover that up? Like, if it can be explained, and if it's actually okay, and it's actually like, if he actually was following God, doing all these things, then like, why aren't we celebrating it? Why are we hiding it? It just, I don't know, it just all felt off.
Yeah, that's hilarious. It's a lot. This sounds a lot more like Warren Jeffs than Brother Joseph. That's funny. Okay, well, do you want to tell us a little bit how your life is today, and how long has it been since you've left?
So I have been out for 4 years.
Nice.
So yeah, it's I do, touching, like, going back to the mental health, like I do want to touch on like it's just like so complicated. So yeah, like that was like the primary reason like why I left, and long term it has helped tremendously. But I think it's worth noting as well that like it did get worse before it got better, and a lot of that was the social component of like leaving, just because like I knew that even though like I had felt peace about like it's okay for me to leave, and I felt like God was okay with it and everything, like I knew that like, even though I knew that they wouldn't ever say it out loud, but like I knew that like for my family and other people that like loved me, that like it would be more difficult for them to hear that I left the church than to hear that like I had died. And like and obviously like I love my family. My family's amazing. Like they genuinely love me. They'd be out of either way. But like in the eternal perspective of things, like we're taught that it's worse to leave the church than for those things to happen. And I just always for probably like a year and a half or so, like after, or maybe like a couple of years after leaving, like I really, really struggled with that of like I've done something, like I knew personally, like I didn't feel like personal guilt, but like I've always been a people pleaser. And I think that like, and this was like a people pleaser's nightmare, like leaving the church is like, I don't know, like I've never been one that's like, yeah, I'm just going to go be rebellious and I want to go sin and I want to go experiment and whatever. Like I like to play it safe and I like to make people happy and whatever. And this was like a nightmare for me, but I also felt like I needed to do what I needed to do. And like between my mental health and also like the more I found out about the church, I was like, I can't continue like supporting this when like I like ethically don't feel okay with so many things, and but just like that social component was really, really, really difficult for me. And I think that there's also this expectation of, or not expectation, like this mindset, like after you leave where like everyone's like watching you, and like it's probably, I don't know, this probably isn't like the best way to say it, but I feel like there's kind of this mentality of like, I don't know. And it's not everybody, like I've had lots of members of the church be very, very kind and like not judgmental, but in general, I feel like there is a little bit of a mentality of like wanting you to fail after you leave the church so that they can prove in their heads that the church is true, of like, see, she lost the spirit and then her life like just fell apart. And I think like it's like an unspoken thing, but I feel like it's very, very real. And
well, I totally agree with you there, because, and it's evil, because the proof, see, when you leave the church, you struggle, and it's proof to them that they're fucking right again. It's just more proof that they're fucking right again. And sometimes it makes me so mad, because it's like, it's kind of like a wife who's getting abused by her husband and she's just getting beat. But if she leaves, then she's going to be on the side of the road, and she's not going to have money, and she's going to have some kids, and she won't have the house. So what should she do? And she's going to look bad to all her friends. So she should stay, right? She should stay in the house so that she can look right, so that she doesn't look bad out there. It's like, oh, you're... And then she leaves the house, and everybody's laughing like, oh, you're homeless, you bitch, like,
yeah.
It's like, course. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I know, for real. For real. Yeah. No, that's a good comparison. And like, I felt so isolated. Like, I don't know. It's difficult because I feel like compared to a lot of other people, I know like my family and like my parents were way more compassionate than a lot of people experience. And so I feel like, I know it's not like, I don't know, I don't have like, I don't know, compared to other people, I don't have like the worst story or anything like that, but it's.
No, I'll tell you what, I'll tell you the truth is probably more like you don't know how to explain some of the harder things that you went through. And when you do, like most people that leave the Mormon church, it would be really nice if they could say, you know what, they put a knife to my neck and, they sexually abused me a bunch. But it's not always the case that you can explain it like that. But it is the case that you were close to death in some ways. Like, it is the case that it was bad enough and you do not know how to explain it. And so I think it's a mistake to say, I didn't have it bad. I think the better way I would describe it is like, yeah, maybe I don't have a really bad knife to my throat story, but I can't explain it, but I was close to death.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and tell them anything you want them to know. Where can they follow you? I know you have a Substack called, what is it called?
Confessions of a 30-Year-Old Virgin.
Confessions of a 30-Year-Old Virgin. Those are the kind of confessions I would come for. If you're, see, I have a brother that's 40, almost 40 now, and he's still a virgin. So one of these days I'm gonna figure out what we need to do to make him not a virgin anymore. But if you're 30 and you're a virgin, you got confessions. So
I'll just say 0 out of 5 stars. Do not recommend. Like, if salvation wasn't on the line, that would not have been a thing. I don't know.
The only sad part to me is like you can probably count on your hands. Besides being a virgin, you can probably count on your hands how many times you masturbated. So
yeah, they're just like, it's funny when I tell people like the rules. They're like, oh, but you could do this, right? Or you could at least masturbate, or you could at least do oral. Or you could do, like, I'm like, no, like nothing. Like
I know, and then they're like. Yeah, but didn't you break the rules here and break the rules here? And you're like, fuck me, I didn't. I was one of the good ones. Fuck me. Like, oh my God, I've really been missing out on life, you motherfuckers. Like all those people that are still in the church, they were breaking the rules and I wasn't. Like, fuck this.
I know. It's like, but we're the evil ones. Like,
yeah.
Like, that's one of the things that I'm like, okay, at least I live what I believe. Like when I was in the church and I lived it. And like now that I'm out, like I'm not preaching one thing and doing another, like, and I'm like, I feel like that has to count for something, but like for a lot of people it doesn't. So
yeah, I agree. I'm living what I preach now. Like if I'm like, you guys should try sex, I'm trying sex, it's easier on the outside. It was hard in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was so funny. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, do not recommend. I have lots of feelings on purity culture. And yeah, so my Substack is under Madison Sparkles. And the name of it is Confessions of a 30-Year-Old Virgin. And I just started it like a few months ago. So I'm still kind of, I have so many layers to my story. I feel like even like this interview just like scratched the surface. Like there's a lot, and there's a lot of emotions and stuff. So, anyways, I'm just starting to like kind of unpack that, but I do have a lot of feelings about purity culture and the church that I'm kind of like working through in that. And then my social, sorry, oh my gosh, I can't talk. And then my social media is, my main ones are TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And those are, hey, my gosh. Hey, it's Madison Sparkles. Sorry, my brain like froze for a second.
Yeah.
So my handle on those ones are Hey, it's Madison Sparkles.
Yeah, and I'll leave the links to all those below.
Okay.
And you got a nice little Madison sign right there behind you. That's impressive. You're embarrassing me. You know, I have like this white. Oh wow, you can turn it on. Dang, you got to have that on through the interview. Come on now.
We'll get you one too that says Jaden.
Yeah. That, like, you have this nice wall art. I'm sitting here with like this white wall and this brown. Everything's brown in here. That's embarrassing. That's crazy.
I have to match. If I'm going to say that, if I'm going to use the word sparkles, and I have to have something that's happy.
Yeah. Well, Madison, if you want to tell everybody any final thoughts, I'm sure in your writing. We could leave with a closing prayer. Okay. I'm in on that one. Do you want to say it, or do you want me to say it?
You can say it.
Oh God, it's been a while since I prayed. I don't want people like, I don't want to accidentally offend half my viewers who still think Jesus is cool.
We'll pass that. Pass on that. Okay, sorry. Just last thoughts. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just last thoughts. I mean, hell, if you want to say a prayer, I'm all in. If you feel like it'd be more respectful, I'll close my eyes and bow my head. Whatever you need me to do. Hell, if you need, I'll go put on a white shirt.
Yes, thank you. That'd be a lot better. I'll just have a prayer in my heart. But I feel like it's been interesting being like on social media. Like I didn't start with like the intention of like talking very much about the church, but like the more that I do, it's been interesting. The more obviously like pushback I have of like, oh my gosh, like you're a hater, even if I'm like not even saying anything. But there's also like, I've also had a number of people like reach out just saying like, oh my gosh, like I'm so happy to know that like somebody else felt like that, you know, and like I don't feel safe talking about it, but like I'm glad that you are. And so I think like for me between just my experiences with the church and like with like my height, I do a lot of like tall girl content as well, just like you do you, and like you can wear heels, and like I don't know, like just trying to like normalize that and everything. And so I feel like just like my overall vibe is just like breaking up with like any messages that told me to shrink, you know, like whether it was like physically with cultural expectations or just like the dynamic that I grew up with, like with the church and stuff, of just like don't have too much of an opinion, don't push back on anything, you know, and just like I don't know, I just feel like really strongly like I don't know, just break up with the messages that are telling you to shrink, and that like you just do what's right for you, and like as long as it's not like terrible, but just, you know, don't hurt people, but like it's okay to be you, it's okay to be different, it's okay to like use your voice, it's okay to like think differently, it's okay to look differently, you know, just like all of that. And yeah, don't shrink. I think that's a good message. Like that is the message of Mormonism, is fucking don't be anybody but who you're told to be. And so like don't shrink is a good message, you know?
Well, thanks everybody for joining. If you guys like this video enough, then I'll talk Madison into doing it again. Everybody keep your head on straight. Like, don't be out doing weird cult things. It's really strange. It's really hard to it might be good for you, but for your children, it's going to be hell. So if you break the cycle, that's what we're out here trying to do, break these cycles. Madison, you're a good example of that. And I really appreciate I really resonated with your struggle. So thanks for sharing that with us. And
yeah,
everybody like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.